This is Blue Jay Preview and Review, where we will recap last week's St. Edmunds loss to Marksville 41-7, but don't be fooled by that score, folks. We'll also talk with head coach Dan Chrisman and run down the schedule of games tonight in Acadiana. Hello again, everyone. I'm John Beltran. Welcome. This is week number 3 of Blue Jay Review and Preview. The Blue Jays are 1-1 entering tonight's game against Iota. Let's talk about last Friday's game against Marksville. Yes, it was a 41-7 loss, but they did play a AAA team featuring number 84, Chad Lavallee. He's a big, strong man who's already committed to Louisiana State University next fall. So they had a lot to contend with. It all started on the very first drive for the Blue Jays. They kicked off to Marksville. Marksville had excellent field position at their own 43-yard line. 2 plays, 7 yards, and then the first turnover of the game, and the Blue Jays were the beneficiary.
Back to throw is Lavallee in a play action. Throws right, and it is tipped up, intercepted by Nicky Miller at the 35-yard line, and that's a big defensive play for St. Edmunds.
And that's where the Blue Jays took over. 3 plays later, they had a big play of their own on offense.
Andrus to the line. Hand it off. No, he's back to pass. Play action. Got a receiver open down the sideline. Tony Miller has got it. 35, 30, 25. Knocked out of bounds. And a big gain. It was fumbled and recovered by Pichu.
But 3 more plays could only generate 1 yard, and that set it up for a 40-yard field goal attempt by Josh Andrus.
We've got 7:30 remaining. There's the snap. The kick is up. It might not make it. It won't. It'll be off to the left side.
Marksville took the ball over at their own 20-yard line and actually lasted 6 plays on this drive, but the Blue Jay defense stiffened up and had to punt. The Blue Jays took over at their own 35-yard line, but the running game really struggled all night. They ran just 3 plays, and the third one resulted in a turnover.
2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Andrus back to throw. He's got some protection now. He rolls left. The pocket's collapsing. He'll throw off his back foot downfield. That's going to be intercepted at the 43-yard line and tackled from behind at the 49. An ill-advised throw. That pass was caught by Blake Knoll.
Marksville took the ball right down the field with a couple of big plays and then took the lead 6-0.
Hayes is the deep back. The up back is Orlando Simone. The pitch to Hayes. Hayes across the right side will try to score. He will. Standing up, a touchdown for Donald Hayes.
Seth Woodruff added the extra point, and Marksville led at 1:20 of the first quarter, 7-0. The Blue Jays had an excellent kickoff return by Nicky Miller, a 34-yarder, all the way to their own 49-yard line. They ran just 2 plays on this drive, and the second one was not a good one.
Some big blocking by that offensive line. They got it on that play. Josh Andrus will take it himself. Will he pitch? No, yeah, he will, but the ball's on the ground, loose in the backfield. That will be picked up by Marksville. No, a second Marksville player picks it up. Was it out of bounds? No, it wasn't.
And Marksville had the ball at the Blue Jay 35, but that's when the Blue Jay defense responded with 3 excellent plays. Marksville was forced to punt, but the Blue Jays had the ball on their own 20-yard line, and in 3 plays lost 12 yards, so they had to punt it back to Marksville. A short punt by Rhett Wimberly resulted in Marksville getting the ball at the Blue Jay 26-yard line. The Blue Jays played excellent defense here, but on 3rd down, Marksville came through again.
Reese Simone and Lavallee in the backfield. Edwards back to throw off the play action throws. That pass is caught by Chad Lavallee. Touchdown.
14-0 after the extra point. St. Edmunds then would try to score before halftime, and 2 plays following the ensuing kickoff, they had another big play.
Backs are split. Out to the right is Tim Fontenot, lined up as a receiver. Andrus again, back to throw. He's got some pressure. Rolls right, buys time, throws on the run. That pass is going to be caught by Nicky Miller down the sideline, and a first down for the Blue Jays at the 50. A gain right there of 27 yards.
However, the Blue Jays could do nothing with that particular big play, so they had to punt it back over to Marksville, who took over at their own 23-yard line. The Blue Jay defense, they really came up big all night until the 4th quarter. 3 plays, just 9 yards. Marksville had to punt it back to the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays again could not do anything offensively, but special teams did come through.
Wimberly trying to punt. He's got a heavy rush, kicks it high in the air. This won't go too far. It's fielded and fumbled. The Blue Jays will try to pounce on it. It's still loose. Bouncing on it is number 21, Tim Fontenot. And the Blue Jays have the ball at their own 48-yard line.
But on the very next play, Josh Andrus threw his second interception of the game.
Andrus back to throw, looking for a man. Everybody's covered, holding on that offensive line. That pass can be intercepted by number 22 at the 30. 35, trying to cut back to the left side, but Nicky Miller will get a hold of him and tackled at the 37-yard line.
Lamar Edwards would throw 3 straight incompletions for Marksville, and then the Blue Jays would run out the clock. So the score at halftime was Marksville 14, St. Edmunds nothing. Total yards in the first half for Marksville, they had 100 total yards of offense, and St. Edmunds didn't do too bad. They had 71. However, 72 of those were on just 2 plays, 2 long passes by Josh Andrus. So the rest of the plays, as I mentioned before, were not very successful, and that's because of the lack of a running game. In the second half, St. Ed's accepted the kickoff. 3 plays resulted in just 1 yard, but again, the special teams came up big.
That's a decent punt. It's got some spiral to it. It's fumbled, and the Blue Jays trying to recover, and still bouncing around, and that's picked up, and I think now the Blue Jays have it.
And the Blue Jays seemingly had a touchdown a few plays later, but a penalty called it back.
Andrus is back to throw off the play action, throws left side. Open, it is a touchdown by number 14 out there for the Blue Jays. Caught in the end zone down the left side. Jay Bergeron.
But a relentless pass rush by Marksville caused one of the offensive linemen for the Blue Jays to hold on that particular play, and the Blue Jays could do nothing more with that football. So they punted it back over to Marksville, and Marksville had terrible field position at their own 11-yard line, and on the second play of that drive, Lamar Edwards matched, Josh Andrus' total in interceptions.
2 in the backfield. Edwards is back to throw, rolling left, throws on the run, passes there over the head, intercepted by Tony Miller at the 26 to the 25 to the 20, left side, tackled out of bounds.
And the Blue Jays had great field position at the Marksville 17, their second time in as many drives to try to cut the deficit in half, but they faced a 4th and 4, a very clutch situation that the Blue Jays needed to convert on, and they did.
4th and 5. Andrus rolling right. Plenty of pressure for the backside. Throws on the run. Passes complete to Bowie. He's got a first down all the way near the goal line.
3 plays later, Josh Andrus, who was the offensive player of the game, then threw a gorgeous pass, which was caught.
The Blue Jays, with 4:44 remaining, looking for a touchdown. Backs are split. Andrus back to throw. He's got some good blocking. He throws. That pass is caught by Nicky Miller for a touchdown. And
with Josh Andrus' extra point, the Blue Jays trailed just 14-7 with 4:36 remaining in the third quarter. But nothing can deflate a team more than having the opposing team score right after you've scored, and that's exactly what happened.
1st and 10 for Marksville, leading only 14-7. Edwards with the ball. Will he pitch or will he keep it? He pitches, and around the left side is Lavallee. He looks like he's gone. He is roaming down the left sideline. This will be a 67-yard touchdown run for Patrick Lavallee.
And the Tigers led the Blue Jays 20-7, but the Blue Jays would never give up, not even on the point after touchdown.
Here's a snap. Kick is up, and it's blocked. Michael Frugier blocks it.
So the score was 20-7. St. Edmunds took over at their own 34-yard line. 3 plays, and they only gained 8 yards out of it, close to getting a first down, but they had to punt it over to Marksville, and then the onslaught began. Marksville took the ball over at their own 35, ran 3 plays, had to punt it back over to St. Edmunds, but the Blue Jays committed a costly penalty. Retaining possession was Marksville, and they made St. Edmunds pay on this play.
I'm sure they'll run here. Edwards on an option. Will he pitch left? No, he won't. He'll take it. First down, roaming down left sideline. Touchdown, Marksville.
The 2-point conversion was good, and the Tigers led the Blue Jays 28-7. After St. Edmunds was 3 and out again, Marksville took over on their own 47-yard line, had a huge 45-yard pass from Lamar Edwards to Chad Lavallee on the 3rd play of that drive. 2 plays later, Marksville took a 34-7 lead.
Lavallee in motion to the left. Edwards pitches to Donald Hayes. He's in for the touchdown.
And the Blue Jays trailed, as I mentioned, 34-7. But we said before, the second time they blocked the extra point.
There's the snap. The kick is blocked. Michael Miller does it this time.
But the Blue Jay offense really went silent. They were silent for the majority of the second half after they scored that 1 touchdown. They got the ball back and ran 3 plays, but nothing doing. Marksville then had 1 more time to score. They had the second team in. The Blue Jays did as well, and on a 4th down play, they ran an unusual play.
There's the pitch right to Dardar, a reverse, left side, going for the touchdown. Will he make it? Yes, number 21 scores on a reverse. Roderick Ford.
That would close out the scoring with Seth Woodruff's extra point. Marksville led 41-7. The Blue Jay offense did get back on the field. Josh Andrus was still quarterbacking, and Jacob Langley impressively rushed for several yards. The last play was for 23 yards on a beautiful option pitch from Andrus to Langley, and that was the final score. 41-7, Marksville over St. Edmunds. The Blue Jays' record drops to 1-1 as we prepare for tonight's game versus Iota. Let's go through composite statistics. First downs in the ball game. St. Edmunds had 7, and Marksville did as well. But of course, the important number is the scoreboard. Rushing, this was a big difference in this ball game. Marksville with 220, St. Edmunds with 46. In the passing, the Blue Jays dominated, 89-63 total yards in the ball game. The Tigers 283, the Blue Jays 135. Marksville fumbled 6 times and lost just a couple, so if the Blue Jays could have recovered a couple of more, might have been a closer ball game, but nonetheless an outstanding effort. St. Edmunds fumbled 3 times and lost one of them on an errant pitch by Josh Andrus. Again, 41-7, St. Edmunds loses to Marksville. And when we come back, we will talk to head coach Dan Chrisman. That's following this timeout on your only network for St. Edmunds Blue Jays football. This is KEUN Supersports.
First Bank of Eunice is home-owned and home-operated. At First Bank, we're a part of this community. Our employees are your friends and neighbors, people you know and can talk to. For a checking account, for a business or personal loan, for a savings account, we do it all. At First Bank of Eunice, we want to be your bank, people you can count on. First Bank of Eunice, 300 West Park Avenue, member FDIC.
Larry's Tire Service, Highway 190 West in Eunice, sells Bridgestone and Firestone tires. Quality tires by manufacturers you know. When you travel on Bridgestone and Firestone tires, you travel with comfort. Larry's Tire Service also does muffler and exhaust work, alignments, and has 24-hour road service available anytime, anywhere. All good reasons to put your automobile in the hands of the professionals at Larry's Tire Service, Highway 190 West in Eunice, where quality and service come first.
As we continue with tonight's pregame coverage of the St. Edmunds Blue Jays and Iota, we bring in head coach Dan Chrisman. Coach, tough test last week for Marksville. Actually, it was a tough test for Marksville besides your kids, because that was a battle, 14-7 late in the third. And is it a compliment to your defense that they had to run just about everything in their playbook in order to execute?
We knew going into the game that we would almost have to play a perfect game with the talent that they have and at the level that they're in AAA. I believe Marksville was ranked number 8 or 9 in the state at the time. It was a real compliment to our defensive staff and the kids who went out there and competed. I felt if we could keep it close in the game, that at the end we'd try to steal one from them.
Coach, we talked last week about how early momentum in a game could set the tone for the rest of the game. How about early momentum in the season? Could this set the tone for the rest of the season with how well your kids played throughout 3 quarters?
Yes, sir. We played well for about 3.5 quarters. And I guess you could say we woke a sleeping giant up there when we scored that touchdown. Marksville was a fine team, and I'm hoping that will lead to something positive this week and going into district.
Does this make you a better coach when you have to make decisions in games like this that other games you would normally not make, in which you were dominating?
Well, what it does is it makes you prepare more, and the kids know that they will have to play up to the level that they're competing in. And so anytime that the kids can learn how to play up, then when you get into those tough games, into the playoff games, then it's a little bit easier for them.
Well, they'll have to play up this week. They have a team from Class 2A, ranked 9th, Iota, who had a tough game in their opener against Basile, 24-20. Your team seems to match up fairly well with them.
Iota is a well-coached team. They won't do anything real fancy. They're going to come right at you. They have an excellent quarterback and an excellent tailback. They have a Guillory boy and they have an Artigo boy that are just outstanding. And they play within the system that Coach Rieberg has, and that system is ball control, and they do a real good job.
Speaking of excellent quarterbacks, Josh Andrus really had to do a whale of a job just to execute that one scoring drive. He threw about 17, 18 some odd passes. you learned something a little bit about him in that Marksville game with all the rollouts, quick drops, deep drops, everything he had to do in order to execute?
Well, against Marksville, they're so physical up front, they'd come right at you. So we had to do various things, sprint him out, quick passing game, and it just shows the toughness of the kid. He's an excellent, excellent quarterback, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him playing college ball somewhere later on with the abilities that he has. He's just doing a good job for us. He's a great leader.
Now, this might sound strange, but does your team need to work more on the short passing game because they're so successful on the long passing game? It seems that these short ones, 10 or 15-yard passes, are a little bit more difficult to execute than, let's say, the 30 and 40-yard passes that Andrus has hooked up with receivers on.
We work on all phases of our passing game. Believe it or not, what killed us was not establishing a run in the game against Marksville. And so what happens, if you can establish a run, those defensive backs have to start cheating up, and then you can hit the big ones. Against Marksville, they were man-to-man, and we have some speed outside with the Miller boys and so forth. So we work on all phases of the passing game, and you'll see more of the short passing game as we go on in the season.
And do you feel your offensive line coach is a little bit more comfortable with pass blocking now after having to do it so much against Marksville?
Well, we feel comfortable with the system that we have in. A lot of times the kid that committed to LSU, when he wanted to come in, he came in and there was hardly no stopping him. We would have a body on him, but he would just pancake us and get in. So that's why we had to sprint out and do certain things to get away from him. But we feel good with the pass blocking scheme that we have.
Yeah, you're talking there about number 84, Chad Lavallee, who was just almost impossible to handle. Let's talk a little bit about penalties here, because I know towards the end of the first half against Hanson, and then you had a touchdown called back because of a penalty, and then when you were down 20-7, I don't know what the penalty was, I can't recall right now, when they punted to you and they were able to retain possession of the ball, another penalty. Is your team working on that? What can you do in telling your kids to stop being a little bit too aggressive or perhaps a little bit too lazy in committing some of these penalties, which have come at crucial times for your ball club?
Well, the penalty that you were talking about was the official said that we hit the center when he snapped the ball. And when you look at it on film, what happened was we shot through a gap and he was blocked into the center. So it really wasn't a penalty per se. We try to concentrate. We talk to the kids on a daily basis about keeping the concentration level high, doing the things that we need to do to be successful. Mistakes like penalties and fumbles are going to cost you games, and I'm talking key games, district games.
Now, we were talking about last week about special teams, how that struggled a little bit way back in the Acadia Parish Jamboree, but of course your team was the beneficiary of about 2 or 3 turnovers committed by Marksville. Now, with the punting game, is Rhett Wimberly going to stay in there? Are you struggling with that right now, or do you want Josh Andrus to reestablish that position as your punter?
That will be determined by competition during the week. Right now we're doing that. I thought special teams did real well with the speed that Marksville had. We covered punts, kickoffs, and we actually returned the ball well against them. So that's something that we're working on a daily basis, and that would be probably decided by Thursday.
We don't need to talk much about your defense because I feel they've been spectacular, especially facing a big line like they did last week. But what do you expect from Iota? How much do you know about him? I know we talked about him just a few minutes ago, but what do you know about him offensively and defensively? I know we did get to see him back in the Acadia Parish Jamboree against Rain.
Iota, again, is a well-coached team. They'll run a power-eye set, and it's not real fancy. They're going to come after you, and they're going to try to knock you off the ball. Against Church Point, Church Point had the ball 11 plays in the first half. So they took over the game by their rushing attack, and they rushed for over 300 and something yards. So what we have to do is play real solid run defense and then try to establish the run and short passing game against them to keep that offense off the field.
In other words, the linebackers are going to have to come up big for your team against the run.
Well, actually, I really believe that all parts of our defensive front will. Our defensive linemen actually are doing their job. Their main job is to keep those linemen off of our linebackers so they can do their job, and they're doing an outstanding job of doing that. Joey Miller, Roop, Sabu, those kids are doing an outstanding job, and what we have to do is just keep doing that.
Coach, we're looking forward to your first home game here against Iota, and thanks for being with us today, and good luck.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And when we come back, we'll run down the entire schedule of games taking place tonight in southwestern Louisiana, as well as the results of last night's game. Or games. That's following this timeout. On your home of St. Edmunds Blue Jays football, this is KEUN Super Sports.
St. Landry Homestead Federal Savings Bank has 3 locations to better serve you: Eunice, Opelousas, and Port Mary. They specialize in residential loans with the lowest interest rates in many years. St. Landry Homestead Federal Savings Bank also has consumer loans of all types. At St. Landry Homestead, all loans stay local since it's run by local people. St. Landry Homestead Federal Savings Bank, Eunice, Port Mary, and Opelousas, member FDIC.
Cajun Country Autoplex 1700 East Laurel in Eunice can proudly boast we've got the friendliest dealership in Louisiana. They have an outstanding parts and service department, and now you can get the best deals on GMC trucks, Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, Dodge trucks and cars, Chrysler, Plymouth, and over 50 used cars, and still shop locally. They're open 6 days a week, so stop by soon and meet with the friendliest dealership in Louisiana for that new or used vehicle. Remember this name, Cajun Country Autoplex, and remember this phone number, 457-8136.
Tonight in Acadiana, Bolton will take on DeRidder. Crowley's at St. Thomas More at Lafayette. Davidson at Basile. Lafayette at Northside. LaGrange is at Washington Marion. Northwest will host Mamou. Maryville is at East Beauregard. New Iberia at Franklin. Oakdale at Quincy. Cecilia will take on Jennings. South Beauregard is at Elton. And Vermilion Catholic will take on Sacred Heart. Last night in the state of Louisiana, it was Captain Shreveport 39, Parkway 28. Catholic of Baton Rouge easily over Bel Air 35-0. Church Point over Opelousas Catholic in an offensive battle 40-35. It was Cotton Valley 22, Sibley 12. Farmerville over Delhi 41-6. Fair Park 28, Green Oaks 8. Hannon over Western Jefferson 40-19. Glen Oaks falls to Estroma 21-8. John Curtis with 6 touchdowns in the ballgame 42-7. Kinder over Oberlin 52-29. Redemptorist 21, Ascension Catholic 14, South Terrebonne 18, Terrebonne 16. Sam Houston, they defeat Lake Charles of Boston 32-14. St. James 8, HL Bourgeois 6, and Benton over Welch 23, to 22. When we come back, King Carl Derwan will have the start of tonight's contest between the Blue Jays of St. Edmunds and the Bulldogs of Iota. That's following this time out on KEUN Super Sports.
What's the best way to heat water and cook in Eunice? The best, most cost-efficient way to heat and cook in your home is with inexpensive natural gas. Natural gas burns clean and is by far the most popular way to heat and cook in homes throughout the Eunice area. For further information on the advantages of natural gas in your home or business, contact your favorite heating and cooling contractor. Natural gas in Eunice, it's the natural thing to do.
At Larry's Tire Service in Eunice, you'll find great tire deals on brand names like Michelin, B.F. Goodrich, Uniroyal, and Kleber. Right now, get Cyberling 1, 13, 14, or 15-inch tires for one low price of $38. Get dependable automotive service on brakes, mufflers, air conditioning, and more, like oil change, filter, and lube for only $14.99. Get 0 down, 90 days free interest with a Bridgestone Firestone credit card. It's your one-stop tire and automotive headquarters. Larry's Tire Service, Highway 190 in Eunice.
Pure gold means good old rock and roll. KJJB-FM Eunice, Louisiana's Prairie Cajun capital.
The home of real country music.
We're country and Cajun. Proud of it, too. We're KEUN Eunice.